Hey, yo, welcome to Gamebox. So, talking about Gamebox. Wait, hold on.
Breathe this thing. Alright. Let's try that again. Hello and welcome back to Gamebox, the show where we take a look at games of yesteryear. And today, we'll be taking a look at a horror game. Not cartoon horror or comedy horror. No, an actual horror game. Okay, it's action horror, but a serious tone horror game nonetheless. A little game called Dead Space. Developed by Visceral Games, rest in peace homies, and published by Electronic Arts. Yes, them, but don't let that draw you away. It's actually pretty fun. Dead Space was released on October 13th, 2008 for PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3, which naturally is the version I'll be playing for this review. Dead Space was announced back in 2007, which was a long time ago. Even back before then, in 2006, a rumor had surfaced about EA's new project. It was said that EA had been working on System Shock 3. This rumor was later confirmed to be true by the game's designers. It was stated that the reason for the switching concept was one game, and that game was Resident Evil 4. The release of RE4 had the developers go back to the drawing board, and I will say, that is one damn fine game to pull inspiration from. Damn fine. Little fun fact, there was an actual working prototype for the original Xbox, though it was not specifically stated that Dead Space was going to be developed for the system, or if it was just a way to test out the game. In Dead Space, players take control of ship systems engineer Isaac Clarke, a nerd with the affinity for stomping. Isaac is part of the crew of the USG Kellion. The Kellion had been sent to investigate a distress signal that came from the USG Ishimura, but things inevitably end up with the Kellion crew trapped. Now Isaac and friends had to find Nicole, Isaac's girlfriend who had been stationed on the Ishimura, and find a way off the cursed station alive. Dead Space is a third-person action horror game, with a focus on over-the-shoulder shoot-bangs. Strategic Dismemberment is the name of the game. The only way to truly dispose of the enemies of the game is to remove their limbs, to get the gooey realistic look of the necromorphs. Oh yeah, the enemies are called necromorphs by the by. The developers studied photos of car crash victims and war scenes. A little weird, but you know, research. Any player information is displayed via a holographic projected heads-up display, meaning that there are no life gauges or info text present while the player moves about. Even things like ammo count for weapons is projected next to the weapon while the player aims. Isaac's health is displayed via a gauge located on his back. This also lets players keep track of their superpowers, or modules if you want to be a nerd about it. Modules are abilities that aid the player during gameplay. There is Stasis, which lets players slow down and eventually freeze enemies, and Telekinesis. This lets players move objects around. These abilities are not only combat ready, but also are used to solve certain puzzles. The game doesn't stop when the player goes into the inventory. This adds a bit more danger to the player, taking away the usual safety they find in these menus. But Isaac ain't no pushover. He has several tools he can use to cut his enemies down to size. These include a pulse rifle, a standard shoot bang with rapid fire, a line gun, a louder shoot bang with a wider beam than that of the plasma cutter, a flamethrower, kind of self-explanatory, a force gun, a shoot bang that shoots a short-range kinetic blast that has the potential to explodify enemies, the Ripper, a shoot bang that fires a saw blade, yes, a saw blade, a contact beam, a shoot bang that fires a high damage energy beam, and finally the plasma cutter. Old faithful. The others are trash. Trash! The plasma cutter cuts things. Duh. All said weapons have a secondary firing mode, and if shooting ain't your thing, then Isaac can stomp and punch his way to victory, though not recommended for anything other than defense. Nom 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 nom. Hey you, moneybags! Are all those space bucks burning a hole in your pocket? Well, have I got the thing for you? The store! Yeah, it's a plain name, but it has extraordinary prices, and I'm passing the savings on to you! Okay, I'll stop. The store is where the player can purchase different supplies for Isaac, which include health packs, superpower juice, and ammo for his weapons. It is here where the player can purchase power nodes. Nodes can be used to upgrade benches to upgrade their weapons, Isaac's rig, and different modules they have at the time. The player can also buy inventory upgrades and armor upgrades to increase Isaac's health. The store also grants the player a place to store any items for later use. The player can also sell any unwanted items for cold hard space bucks. Dead Space is very linear. Isaac is given an objective in an area and it's up to the player to see it through. A very standard shindig. There is some exploration. This rewards players with some extra ammo and supplies. Isaac can project a waypoint to his current objective if the player happens to get lost. This is very useful due to the fact that it shows the players the right way to go, so they can go ahead and head the opposite direction. Because as every gamer knows, heading the opposite direction always sometimes yields some very good loot. There is a run button, but given that most of the game takes place in tight corridors, I found myself walking to avoid getting cold-cocked by any hiding beasties. Unfortunately, Dead Space does lack a quick turn, so the only way to haul ass is to spin the camera all the way around. Kind of a pain, but it works. While exploring the Ishimura, the player can come across special locked doors. If they have any available, they can use power nodes to unlock them. These rooms usually have more ammo, health, space bucks, or items style space bucks. The player can also find schematics. These will unlock new items for the store for purchase. Each level is a different section of the Ishimura. Unfortunately, there is no way to go back once the area is cleared, but beyond any unopened node rooms, there is no real reason to head back. Dead Space doesn't have many boss fights, but in this type of game, it simply works out better that way. There was an encounter with an enemy called the Hunter, but I'm not too sure if it would be considered a boss fight. But the Hunter's big thing is that it's able to regenerate any chopped off limbs, so the only choice is to run. So the boss numbers weren't that bad. The player can find logs that shed light on what exactly happened to the crew of the Ishimura. These include video, audio, and text logs, much like Doom 3.
I know other games have this, but I mentioned Doom 3 because it's the first game that I play with storytelling like this.
All found lore can be accessed in the rig menu. I didn't mind this method of lore dumping. I found it like unraveling a mystery. The deeper you go, the darker the events get. Oh, I almost forgot to mention sound design. I love the sound design in Dead Space. There are times where voices can be heard among the groaning of the derelict Ishimura.
Search and rescue.
The ambient noise works against players as well. It makes it unclear if that rattling in the dark is from a BC or simply part of the area music. Even the music scene that pops up when enemies are nearby jerks the player to attention. So all in all, is Dead Space a game you need to go out and play? I'd say yes. Sure, it leans more towards action, but it did get me with some of its scares. DuckTales. It did have that horror feel to the atmosphere, and it was fun because of it. I mean, yeah, it's not your Silent Hills or your Resident Evils, but I still found it pretty fun. So if that floats your boat, then I say give it a try. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a piggy bank to open. Hey, welcome to the end of the video. I thank you for making it this far. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell to stay updated on happenings of this channel. And as always, spread the awesome, and I will see you next time.